Okay, you guys, hold on. What was this one saying?
Try it.
Your
No.
viewers.
Mm-mm. Close that. That's how you turn the camera around.
Oh, shoot.
Um, Invite friends to watch. See, that's all. Ask them. Do they know? I don't know.
You guys, I'm having some technical issues. Hold on.
Please.
Yes.
He's just watching. I think.
Yosef, you just watching? Are you
Oh
not
wait, are
on?
you adding him? I think you are.
Yes.
Don't touch it.
Yosef, are you here? Wait, Jack Chrissy. Christian, wait. Is he, what does that mean? Yosef, are you on yet?
No,
Hey, everybody.
no,
What does that
it
mean?
says adding. I don't
Adding.
know. No, don't. You're gonna exit it out.
Yosef, I'm trying to add you. I'm waiting for Yosef to come in with the, I tell you, this technical part of it. I was supposed to use my phone for this, but apparently it is not working. So I had to use another device and it's blinking, but it's not showing me no answer from the live video guest. Hold on a second. I'm trying to get Yosef on, everybody. Hang in there with me. Okay, where did he go? Hi, Tammy. Don't be laughing at me, Tammy. Yosef. Come on, Yosef. This is going to be the best one we have had. It's right here. Guests allow you just to join you as a guest on your broadcast.
Hmm?
Yosef, add. Waiting on Yosef. We got the button. It's just not. Yay!
Uh, uh,
You see how the devil works, trying not to get us to hook up tonight, but we're gonna do it no matter what. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, Yosef. It's a pleasure to meet you face to face. I tell you, I feel like I already know you, and it's an honor to have you on with us. Everybody who is on tonight, thank you for being patient. Mother duty calls, and I got to do what I got to do. But Joseph and I are going to talk about marriages. What happened to the marriages with these young people that are having children? Not just one. They're having multiple children, and then the cycle keeps repeating itself and there's no end to it. Hey, sweetheart. Hey, everybody. So, Yosef, we were talking about this subject about 2 months ago, and he promised me he would come on and enlighten us about some of this stuff. And he's done his homework. So, we're going to let Yosef take the floor, and we're happy you're here with us. Thank you for joining.
well, first and foremost, good evening to you and your viewers, as well as a few of my viewers as well. The pleasure is all mine, and I uh, take this as a tremendous opportunity to shed some light as to what is going on. I see uh, a friend of mine by the name of Jameson. He's viewing. Peace and power to you.
Yes.
My brother Brandon, peace and power to you as well. Uh, I want to take a look at this from both a spiritual and a social basis. Uh, what you have to understand is we're living in times of prophecy.
Mm-hmm.
And the scriptures teaches us that times such as these
Yes.
would come.
Mm-hmm.
Perilous times would come when people would not adhere to sound doctrine. You have a lot of counterfeit ministers on the rise now, conning people out of their hard-earned money. Um, it's a lot going on. But one of the things that's in addition to what's happening in the spiritual realm with perilous times coming and the rise of the Antichrist coming, we have to take a look at the basis of all of this celebration of men and women being whores. That I believe also has to do with social engineering. I posted briefly that back in 1920, 92.3% of all Americans in this country were married, whereas the other 8% were either single or they were engaged in common law marriage.
Mm-hmm.
However, that percentage dropped between the decades of the 30s and the 40s, but it went back up to 92% in the 50s. Now, in the 1960s and the 70s, that is when this movement or this uh, philosophy of feminism, which I believe to be very, very poisonous, very erroneous. Hey, Keith, thanks for tuning in, man. I greatly appreciate it. You have now feminism, they say that it was all about women's rights and all this kind of thing, but it was actually out to maim and it was not about women's rights at all. And mind you, feminism started in the Caucasian community. We
Mm-hmm.
didn't have the problems that the Caucasians have because in our community, the wife was appreciated, the wife was valued, whereas in the Caucasian community, the wife had no voice, had no vote. So this is one of the dangers of feminism. A lot of my family's here. Keith is here. Jamari's here. I'm sorry. Thank you guys for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. So I said that I was going to present to you the actual percentage of how many men and women are actually married now. Once again, 1920, it was 92%. As of 2018, it was 36% and dropping.
Hmm.
Wow.
So I've said in one of my posts as well that the honorable man and the honorable woman is now an endangered species.
So, how do you think we can rectify that as a black woman, a black single woman? What do you think we can do to turn this around?
Well, first and foremost, I personally believe do is simply repent and turn back to the ways and the will of the Most High. That's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two, we have to stop shifting the blame to one side
Mm-hmm.
because it's not just the man's fault, it's not just the woman's fault, it's both of our
Right.
faults. It's our fault as men because we allow for our sisters to be indoctrinated by this erroneous philosophy. It's the woman's fault because she was foolish enough to embrace this erroneous philosophy. So here we are in 2018 with the deep divide between men and women at its all-time worst. And furthermore, I have some statistics written down. And it says between 2013 and 2017, It said only 5 to 6% of marriages would last 50 years now. Another startling statistic presented to us that over 2 million people in this country are married. However, how many are happily married, that number is unknown. Furthermore, 42 to 45% of marriages will end in marriages. Some of the reasons is because of infidelity, abuse, finance, mental health, which is something that we refuse for whatever reason to
Mm-hmm.
talk about, and lack of communication, just to mention a few.
Mm-hmm.
So it really has to do with the irresponsibility on both our parts, not just the man's part, not just the woman's fault, but both of our problems. We've got to come together and we have to be men and women enough to say, look, we should have never allowed for feminism to infiltrate our minds and our hearts. But not just feminism, but also we have to stop being no good men. I did a podcast or broadcast rather this past Tuesday night on the 13 signs of a no good man. So it's a lot to it, but we have to be man and woman enough. We have to be mature enough to say, look, we got to stop the charades. We have to stop the nonsense. Hey, Will, thanks for tuning in, bro. Appreciate it. So, so the thing is, we have to repent and we have to turn to each other and on each other.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to stop being so full of pride, so full of arrogance,
Mm-hmm.
because if we don't, then the deep divide will continue to get increasingly worse, to the point where men and women will not want to be bothered with each other ever again.
And
So it's
it'll be,
both spiritual and social.
so it'll be further divide if we keep going in this direction.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
so do you think the feminism era is why men and women are not, no, not just young men and women, people in the middle age group too are shacking up? Do you think that is the reason why it started?
I think that has a lot to do with it. But at the same time, we also have to look at from the basis of the laws in this country when it comes to family and when it comes to divorces. 84% of divorces end up with the lady or the woman getting everything, leaving the man in subhuman poverty. Only 17% of men get everything, whereas 9%, both the man and the woman, gets half and half. We're living in a very gynocentric society, which simply means all of the laws are one-sided. They're lopsided. It is always geared towards the woman and not the man. The man is always guilty. The woman is always innocent. And unfortunately, the women that have turned child support into a gyp game have made the honorable woman look bad,
Mm-hmm.
making it extremely difficult to find a compatible mate to cohabit with. So it's spiritual. It has to do with the laws of this country. It has to do with social engineering. It has everything to do with psychological warfare. So there is a lot going on. And I wish I really had time to really dig deep into this, because the subject of relationships is so
It
vast
is.
until we could go on for hours on end.
Yes.
But I'll attempt to stick to the points that's very, very important and very, very vital.
So how do we get, because you're absolutely right. I think we could do a monthly segment. Mm. What do you think?
That's not a bad
I
idea.
know. Um, my concern is this younger generation, the millennials and the middle age, who you got two different issues. You have the millennials who are just not getting married. They're having a baby out of wedlock, and then they shack
Right.
up, and then they never get married. They just continue. They have this family, but it's not sanctified. It's just a mother, a son. I mean, a mother and a mom, a mother and a father, and children, but no marriage
Yes.
takes place. Then you have the middle
No.
age couple, because their marriages didn't work. They're fearful to do it again. So they shack up. Mostly their kids are grown, or they have teenage children living in the homes. Um, and they're okay with this. And my concern is this the way we're going for the future? Is it going to change where we go back to having a wedding and doing it the right way, being blessed to have holy matrimony before we just move somebody in and have children, or better yet, in my age group, just shack up for the rest of our lives? Because there are a lot of legal implications for having someone in your house. There's common laws, and there are laws that
Yes.
don't protect you. There are men that I know that are shacking up with girlfriends, and the girlfriend dies, and they've been together for a long time, and the husband that didn't divorce her comes in, packs up the house, tells dude he's got to go, and he's the next of kin because they never got a divorce. So you got all this drama, all this mess, and I believe the core of it is nobody's married. Nobody's trying to hold a relationship together. They're just out there. And I think the millennials think it's okay. And my concern is it's going to get worse, and our children's children are not even going to know what a marriage is. And how do we fix that? Uh-oh. Did I lose you? Did I lose you? I'm trying to bring you back. Don't leave me. You guys, we're having some technical issues here. Hold on. Uh-oh. His phone overheated, you guys. I'm trying to get him back. I tell you, this technical stuff. Hello, Frank. Divorce is a commonplace now. Yes, it is, Norwood, but also not getting married at all is a commonplace, and that's what we're talking about tonight. Uh, being in a being in a relationship, but there's no marriage, and you've been living together for years and years and years, and you have these children involved for years and years and years. So, Yosef Israel wants to be in your video. Well, bring him in. I'm trying to get you back. He can't see me, y'all. I'm working on it. Hold on. He's coming back. Just hold on. So that's what we're talking about tonight. Norwood says my mom and stepdad have been together 40 plus years. Now that is awesome. Norwood, I need to have your mom and stepdad on to talk to us about how they could stand each other for 40 plus years. That is awesome. Hey, John, you have to invite him back into the call. Oh, I don't like how he said that, Tanya, like I'm messing up. I got him. He's back. Thank you,
Hey,
John.
I'm sorry about
That's
that.
okay. This technical stuff is technology stuff is getting on my nerves. Um,
Yeah.
so we have someone on tonight. Norwood Johnson says his mom and stepdad have been together 40 plus years. That's awesome. That's commendable. My grandparents were together, married for 50 plus years. So now that we know we don't have many people that we can proudly say have been together that long, what do you think we
Mhm.
can do as a race to turn that around?
First of all, I really believe that we have to stop focusing on being multicultural
Mm-hmm.
and stop focusing on other cultures and just focus on ourselves. A lot of people,
A lot of people, what now? Say that again.
a lot of people don't like the fact that I talk about separating from other cultures. But I personally believe that one of our biggest issues is we focus too little on our culture and we focus on other cultures too heavily and not enough on our own culture. Uh, we are the greatest people in the whole world, and unfortunately, people don't share in my same sentiments.
Mm-hmm.
So they call me racist. They call me a bigot. They call me all of these things simply because I want our people to be bigger and better than what we are. Hey, Mackiel, thanks for tuning in. Hey, Kev, I see you, man. Thank you. Thank you all so much for tuning in. So I've had to face this criticism because I'm proud of our people. I want our people to be bigger and better than what we are because we're more than just whores, we're more than just tramps, we're more than just pimps.
Yes.
But unfortunately, we are playing right into the hand of the racist white political power structure, and they are always presenting us as low lives. And as Brother Norwood has said, the black fathers are
Yes,
missing.
they are.
And allow me to point out that, as we all know, Dr. King was assassinated back in 1968.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 years after his assassination, this is what transpired. In 1970, the United States government started shutting down all of the factories. Why? Because that's where the black fathers
Work.
were thriving.
Yes.
They they used what I like to call educated hands
Right.
because they were talented. And so because they knew for a fact that you didn't even have to have an education or a college degree to um, to have a
That's
job.
right.
So what they did was shut down the factories, and this is when welfare came into play. So the government gave the black woman and made her a deal. And in order for us to help you, so says the white political power structure, you have to take the man out of the house. And unfortunately, hook, line, and sinker, we fell for the okie doke. And that is also another cause for the deep divide.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about social engineering. And that's something that people don't understand. And is also something that people really can't accept. But it's happening, it's been happening for a long time. We have the power to stop it. But unfortunately, a lot of us have become so complacent and so comfortable with being disrespected that if you try to talk logical with them, they will get irritated and annoyed with you and look at you as if you're the one that's insane.
Mm-hmm. That's true. And they don't listen.
No.
Yes, that is so true.
And speaking of which, the our people unfortunately reminds me of what it says in Jeremiah the 8th chapter, where it talks about ancient Israel choosing death over life.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, ancient Israel, current day Israel, because a lot of our people choose death over life.
Mm-hmm. While they're living.
Yes,
Mm-hmm. I agree.
literally walking dead.
That's right. And fear, a lot of that comes from ignorance. And I believe we need to do something to get our young people to understand that. And I never thought about that. You're absolutely right. When those factories were shut down, all our black men lost their jobs. And then I bet you the pimping started, drug use started.
It intensified.
Yes, I can see that. That makes a lot of sense. What else? What other jobs? They weren't in college. They were working with their
No.
hands, but they were making good money because they had been there for years. And to know that that went away,
Hmm.
and Norwood is right. We lost our men. We lost our men. And Norwood says again, I was taken out the house by the military. Oh
Yes.
right. Oh right. They were forcing young men to join the army.
Yes.
Hmm.
So between being forced to be, hey Marjorie, thanks for tuning in, love. I greatly appreciate it. So between being forced to join the military, the factory shutting down, uh, that's when all of the drug abuse intensified, all of the everything that they could do to rip us apart.
Right.
Unfortunately, we fell for it, and here we are today in 2018. It's sad, and it bothers me. It really bothers me a lot. Uh, People have called me controversial. They called me a bigot.
Mm-hmm.
They called me all these kinds of things because I'm zeroing in on the fact that our people needs to separate
Mm-hmm.
from the white political power structure, because I've never been one to believe in fighting for a country that never loved me or my people. Why should I? We've always been treated as second class citizens,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I've also been called a black nationalist. And when I'm called these things, it's not necessarily, to give me compliments, but it's more or less to insult me, But once again, when you are a sellout and you have actually chosen to be on the side of those that love you, your oppressor, this is the end result. It's unfortunate, but that's reality.
Norwood says in the military they promoted drug use.
I've heard that same thing.
Yes. Yes. They dragged 17-year-old kids in there. I know my father was one of them. And what else were they going to turn to but
Yeah.
drugs? They didn't know what they were signing themselves up for. Matter of fact, that was they didn't have a choice in the matter. Um,
No, they didn't, sadly.
and I'm still I still would like to know what you think about how do we rectify this? I know you and I can't do it alone, but what do
Hmm.
you think could fix this with where the young kids are thinking, because I have them in my family where they're gonna have children, no
Mhm.
husband in sight, um, have some more children, no husband in sight,
Mhm.
and the
Mhm.
cycle's just repeating itself. And and even the Kardashians, who not many of the sisters are married, but they're having
Right.
babies, and our children are watching that and all. And to me, something's wrong with that picture if you're announcing to the world we got another baby coming, but you're not announcing to the world the we're getting married too. Not that
Right.
didn't that wasn't factored in on that show. And I realized we've made them very rich, this family, because everybody's watching them. Everybody is
Mhm.
admiring them. But what are they teaching us? They're not telling us how to make the money, but
Mhm.
that concerns me in itself, that our young people are watching that and they're influenced by it. I just don't I just wish I had a magic wand to tell these children, these young people, that having these kids and moving the guy in or not moving the guy in, you're stuck with these, you got these kids by yourself in most cases. And back to an
Mhm.
original point that you made, where the men are not looked highly upon in the courtroom, whereas the women are favored the most. If you go back a little
Yeah.
further, remember when the women were, the wives were supporting the men while they got their law degree, their doctorates, and so forth. Then these men would find another woman and take their
Yeah.
money and their new salaries and go live with their new wife and leave the wife with the children, and she would pretty much be homeless. So that's when the
Yes.
courts started looking favorably towards the women. And unfortunately, a lot of women have taken advantage of that. But there was a purpose
Yes.
behind the madness, because these men were leaving these women and children and not looking back. And I'm not talking about
Mhm.
just black women, I mean, black men, white men too. So that court situation started to protect the women who were left with the children. Now, it doesn't always have to be warped. A lot of times the women are bad. A lot of times the women are trying to get a modification every 6 months and not work,
Yes.
not help to take care of her children. She wants the man, because she's bitter, she wants him to do everything, and she sits home and not work, and every 6 months she's asking for a modification. So there is that there is that woman out there, but there's also that woman that's stuck holding the bag, the children, the household expenses by herself, and the man has moved on with his new family and riches, more riches, because that woman brings something to the table. So
Yeah.
you got, there's the other side of that coin, where somebody needs to look out for the women and the kids. And over and over, there's the man leave.
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
The men leave for whatever the reason. You know, um, I hear static on your end. You hear me now? Okay,
Yes.
Norwood says, I like old school rappers like Public Enemy, Eric B. and Rakim and KRS, one that promoted black unity. Yeah, that's he's right. They're not promoting black unity now. They're promoting the bees, the hoes, the twerking. the cigarettes, the drugs, the fancy cars, the luxurious homes, the cash. That's what's being promoted now, Norwood. You're absolutely right.
I would have to say that another solution that comes to my
Mm-hmm.
mind is our men have got to stop acting so feminine, because you have a lot of men that are one emotion away from being a female, such as
Oh
yourself.
wow.
And that is, yeah, and there is no bigger turnoff for a woman than to see a man who acts and walks and talks as feminine as she does. And likewise, there is no bigger turnoff for a man
Mm-hmm.
to see a woman acting as masculine as himself. The only thing masculine about a woman should be a man, and the only thing feminine about a man should be his woman. So we are seeing the homosexual agenda being enforced,
Yes.
and we are being force fed now.
Yes. That's true.
And when you have a heterosexual male such as myself who enjoys admiring beautiful women, then we are looked upon as being villains. We're hated, we're despised, and so forth. Brother Israel, thank you for tuning in. Brother Jeremy, thank you for tuning in. Hey, Eva, thank you so much for tuning in as well. So, in addition to the laws being against men, uh, the the women that have this Jezebel spirit is running amok.
Mm.
You also have the homosexual community enforcing and being bullies and dictators towards us
Mm-hmm.
that uh I mean we're hated. We're vilified, we're hated, we're despised, and so forth.
Yes. That's
So
Brandon said that's why your phone overheated. The discussion is hot. I agree, cause Joseph is talking about a whole lot of stuff. It's gonna have to have us have different segments because he's he's really hitting a lot of points in a lot of areas, and this could take all year to discuss these different topics. um, I agree with you. When you start appreciating a woman, then you're being a sexist, or you're going overboard, and you're just
oh yeah.
appreciating and loving women. And what happened to that? And you're right. Not only do women not appreciate a man acting like a woman, we also have issues with men that are not strong, and we
Not at
don't
all.
respect men that are not strong. and
None.
and and I agree with you. We're looked at sometimes as the Jezebels. um I went to a club recently just to dance because I was stressing. I needed to hear the music. I needed to, and that's
Hmm.
one way I just close my eyes and I just go with the music. And all these men were just pulling on me. And I wasn't accustomed to that because men and when I was going out were very respectful. They dance with
Yeah.
you. They thank you for dancing with them. They might offer you a drink or what have you. But to see
Right.
women allowing a man to grab them in their pelvic area and thrust their bodies into the man's pelvic area, I thought was the
We
most disrespectful. And these are people, all
absolutely.
everybody was black, and I cried. because I didn't know that's what they were doing in clubs nowadays. And this is my age group. I'm 56 years old, and
Oh wow.
I could not believe women were allowing men to evade their bodies like that. And these are strangers. They didn't know each other. They just were on the dance floor gyrating and pumping their bodies into each other. Not like the freak, like we
Yeah.
did the freak years ago. This was 100% disrespectful. And I'm trying to I don't understand how Norwood says in most relationships today the women have the power. The minute the man stands up, he is incarcerated. Well, I agree women have the power, but we're not using the power. Because when I saw the disrespect, I got up and left. Well, I was already up, so I just walked out of the club. That to me was getting my power back. But if I continue to allow men to touch me and not know me, I would be surrendering my power to them. I would be,
Hmm.
and that's what we should not be doing. But our women are so lonely today. This is the scary part, that we
Hmm.
are like accepting behavior, bad behavior from men that we know is wrong, but out of desperation of having somebody, will accept
Hmm.
anything. And that's what I would like to know, how to turn that around, because we need our power back, as Norwood said. We're relinquishing it because we're lonely.
Yeah.
And I believe men know that, and they take advantage of that. They're exploiting that fact. And how do we fix that? Because that, if our children are seeing that behavior repeatedly, they're going to do the same thing. And it's going to be
Right.
another vicious cycle of black men taking advantage of women and women allowing it, because something in their minds is better than nothing.
Right.
So what do you think?
Well, unfortunately, everything that you have said is reality. At the same time, we also must go back to the point I made earlier, that we have to take accountability for our actions and our behavior. I hear all the time that women are lonely, which is true.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, unfortunately, women with the Jezebel spirits, they don't want a man because they desire a real man. They want a man for his resources. They want a man for his wealth. They don't love a man for him. And because now, um, that is the psychological makeup and the psychological hygiene of a lot of these women, because they've made it so difficult for the honorable woman or the virtuous woman,
Mm-hmm.
as it has said in Proverbs. My phone is heating up again. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's okay. I'll get you back in. Yeah,
But
Norwood says, "What can the black man do to fix relationships?"
uh, the first thing that I think we can do to fix relationships is we have to realize that the roles have been reversed.
Hmm.
The man has become the woman, and the woman has become the man.
That's deep.
And unfortunately, as it says in the book of Proverbs, I believe, no, in the book of Job, I believe it's 9 and 24, that the world has been handed over to the wicked.
Hmm.
And because it has been handed over to the wicked, that's why you have all these men having more knowledge of makeup than the women do. That's why having all the knowledge of men's clothes more than the men does. The roles have been reversed. The women are wearing the pants, the men are wearing the skirts. We have got to come up and out of all of that.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I said earlier, we have to repent, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, we got to separate from the racist white political power structure once and for all. And also, for those of our people who look like you and me,
Mm-hmm.
who refuses to let go of the racist white man, we have to let them go too.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that all of this is easier said than done, but until we find a better solutions, separation at this juncture, at this point, is our only and our best option.
Well, I'm one to think, Yosef, that we all can get along. And I'm almost thinking I'm if I continue to date and love black men and they don't love me, I'm gonna love what race loves me. And that's why a lot of women have surrendered. They have tried it your way and they've gotten no results and went another way. And some women, believe it or not, have loved a man all her life and then went south and started loving a woman because every man had hurt her. And I'm sure she found out later that women can hurt you just like a man. But there are a lot of women that have closed the door on women. I mean, I'm sorry, on men and started dating women because of the pain and they didn't know how to rectify it. So you got a lot of that going on. And something else you said about women taking men, in so many words, for their money or looking at them from a financial perspective. I disagree
Mm.
because the majority of my friends are doing really well financially. They want companionship. They don't care if the man makes $10 a day. Their thing is, I want him to look good, act good, smell good, and be with me. So money is not always a factor. It's just they want somebody to love them. And they don't have to make the money because they're making the money. But as you said, with that, the script has been flipped where now
Yeah.
the woman is wearing the pants because she's the
Yes.
one making all the money. And with that, women become bossy, controlling. I don't think they
Yes.
really mean to. I know I was guilty of it for a while in a relationship with a husband. He lost his job
But do you know
and I
why
just
that
took
happens
over.
though?
Like you what, I started making demands. What you gonna cook? You in the house, when you gonna cook? You lost your job, so till you find another one, you gotta do this, you gotta do that. When you gonna find another job? So
But see,
we,
but do you know why that happened though?
why did that happen?
Do you know why that a lot of our sisters have started acting so masculine? Here's why. Once again, this is the fault of the man not being in the house.
That's right.
Unfortunately, the sister has had to play the role of both mother and father.
Yeah.
And along the way, unfortunately, the sister forgot how to be soft,
Yeah.
forgot how to be feminine, and she became so masculine for so long until she permanently lost
Yeah.
and forgot how to be soft and feminine.
You're
And
right.
by the time she comes to realize, whoa,
Yeah.
I forgot how to be a woman, I forgot how to be soft, I forgot how to be feminine, then unfortunately she winds up being lonely. Unfortunately, she doesn't have a love interest. So that and once again, I will reiterate, it is not just the man's fault, it's not just the woman's fault, it is both of our fault,
Mm-hmm.
because we are too full of pride to reconcile with one another.
Mm-hmm.
I personally, and here's something else too. Love has been redefined. Love and romance has been redefined.
Yes.
Lust is now the new love.
You're right.
Using people is now the new romance. Here's a vicious cycle. A man and a woman look at each other, they talk for a while, they do the
Mm-hmm.
do, they're and because they're intimate, they have a good time. And after a while, when the sex is over with, guess what? They ignore each other and they don't talk to each other ever again, and they go on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a very vicious cycle going on, and it's been going on for a
You're
while.
right. You're right. And lust is clouding people's judgment. And
Oh,
and
absolutely.
nobody's locking it down anymore. What happened to locking it down till you know that that person's in for the long haul? I don't know what made women think, oh, if we get if I have sex with him, he's gonna fall in love with me, or I'm gonna whip him until he falls in love with me. And that is not, all women have one. So my thing was, even as a young woman, what makes me think mine is better than hers? And I learned at an early age that this, you better have this and a whole lot more than just that, because
Mm-hmm.
that does not keep a man. It might keep a man lusting, but it does not keep a man loving you. I remember back in the day they said booty whipped, or pee whipped.
Ah.
But I haven't heard that term in a long time, and I'm thinking it's because women are skilled now. So I can't say mine is better than hers. So that in itself made me realize I needed to have a whole lot more going for me than just that. But
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of women that think, "Oh, I'm gonna get him. I know what I gotta do." And he after he hits it, he's ready to move on to somebody else. So it didn't work. It
Yeah.
wasn't effective. And I don't know what I can do. Even women in my age group are doing that, because of the loneliness. They're now living free, just going for it. But their
Yep.
goal is to connect someone, to latch on to someone, uh, uh, dating for months at a time, as Steve Harvey says, 3 months at a time before you go there. I can't
Hey,
say that
Mills.
men are. I can't say that people are doing. I can't say that relation women are doing that. They're giving in very quickly in a relationship, and it's not a relationship like you said. It's just lust. And what could you tell? What would you like to tell women about this lust? And Norwood,
First,
and then you got another one. Norwood wants to know, what is love. So I would like for you to answer, because you could be helping a lot of women, because this video is going on YouTube. So I would like for you
oh
to
boy.
answer. I would like for you to tell us, what advice can you give us, regarding lusting or giving in to a man who wants to bed with us that we really don't even know that well.
All right. First and foremost, I want both the men and the women to understand that our roles have been reversed. The man is the new woman, the woman is the new man. We've got to reverse the roles back. That's number one. Number two, as far as the sisters are concerned, I think that a lot of sisters have see, they know. See, none of us are stupid.
That's
None
true.
of us are stupid. The thing is, we know right from wrong, but a lot of us know, but we don't care to do what is right.
True.
And and the sisters need to understand that your education is not going to help keep is not going to keep or get you a good man.
Right.
What is going to get you a good man is number one, you're always praying for a husband, but you're not praying to be prepared
Yeah.
to receive that husband or to be prepared to be a wife to that husband.
Yeah. That's what we talked about. Were you on that video live when we talked about being prepared for a husband?
Probably was. I don't remember, but I probably
Yes, we
was.
talked about
And
that.
likewise,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, and likewise, the men need to pray the prayer, Father, prepare me to be a husband,
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of us are not prepared. We're not prepared. We're not prepared mentally. We're not prepared emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
We allow our hormones to rage like rivers and angry
Yes,
seas.
that's so
You
true.
know, so we have to. I've always told people, rather, I've asked myself this question. I said, would I date or marry myself at this time in my life? I had to humble myself and say, right now, can't do it because I'm working on
Yes.
myself internally. I'm working on myself on the inside.
Right.
And to work on myself, that takes time. You can't rush through this.
Right.
You can't rush through it.
Right.
You have to take time. You have to be willing to take time to get to know the Most High and to get to know yourself again. Not many men and not many women are doing this. I've been a widow for over five
Oh, I'm sorry
years.
to hear that.
I lost, thank you. I lost my wife 5 years ago.
Wow.
And during that time, I've had a lot of soul searching to do. And it affected me spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially. And to start all over again, it is difficult. It is really, really
Mm-hmm.
hard. Hey, David, thanks for tuning in. So I took the time because number one, I had to take the time for myself.
Mm-hmm.
I had to because I was not going to ruin another woman's life
Wow.
because I didn't know how long it took for her to get her stuff together.
Right.
And then men and women, y'all got to understand there is no such thing as a perfect man or a perfect woman. There is no such thing as a 10.
Right.
We are living in an imperfect world. It's the only one we have.
Mm-hmm.
And see, sisters, when you say yes, say make sure you mean
Mm-hmm.
yes. Don't say that you want a good man and you want him to handle you. What do you mean by that handle you? You ain't no zoo animal. Are you kidding
Right.
me?
Right. You're right.
Being handled means you want to be beaten up. In my
Mm-hmm.
mind, you ain't no zoo animal. Stop acting like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'll reiterate again. You're more than a tramp. You're more than a whore. You're more than a slut. You're more than that.
Mm-hmm.
More than a pimp. You're more than a homosexual. You're more than a criminal.
Right.
You are kings
And
and
queen.
you are queens.
Absolutely.
We are the original life in the universe. May I throw in some scientific facts for just a
Mm-hmm.
moment, dear sister?
Yeah.
Just for a few moments. Now, there is something called Mendelian's Law.
Mm-hmm.
Mendelian's Law tells us that dark skin, like myself, is the dominant. Light skin is recessive.
Mm-hmm.
And there is something within your DNA, your sister, that has allowed that when you're giving birth, you have the unique ability for your DNA to mutate from the darkest to the lightest. In other words, the white man comes from us. We are the original light in the universe, and it's told to us right in the book of Genesis. What color is the dust of the ground? It ain't white.
Mm-hmm. Right.
See? And a lot of people, when you talk to them like that, it goes right over their heads.
Mm-hmm.
See? But the fact is, we are the original life in the universe. It's right here in this book. It's right here in the Bible,
Mm-hmm.
in Genesis. See? But you can't tell them that because they're so accustomed and they're so brainwashed into thinking that this is all I know. This is all I can do. No, it's not. It's better than that. See? And the fact is, you have been brainwashed by the television that depicts us to be whores and criminals and tramps and low lives and perverts
Mm-hmm.
and the like. I say ugly.
Right.
We are the original lights in the universe. You are the best. So stop acting like a tramp. Stop being a whore. Period.
Mm-hmm.
You say
And that
you want
goes.
a good man. I'm sorry,
I'm,
but
no.
they say they want a good man. You want a good woman. Act like it.
Right. Be prepared.
See? Yes.
Absolutely. Norwood says, "What ask? What is love?" Then you have another comment down here.
What is love?
Yes.
Well, my father was a Baptist preacher, so I'm going to answer him from what he taught me.
Mm-hmm.
He taught me that, son, there are three dimensions of love. Hey, Sean, how you doing, man? That's my brother too.
Oh,
Thanks for
hello
tuning in.
there.
Yeah. There are three dimensions of love. The first one is eros love. That's the love between a man and a woman. That's romance.
Mm-hmm.
Eros love is the love of friendship, brotherhood, sisterhood. And then the third and final dimension of love is agape love,
Mm-hmm.
the love of. So, with that said, I hope I was able to, in a nutshell, answer my brother's question as to what love is. And speaking of love, love is something that is waxing cold, especially during these dark and dangerous times. Now, a lot of men are going to call me a simp because I still believe in romance, but at the same time, as much as I admire women, I'm no fool. I'm no dummy.
Mm-hmm.
Realize that there are a lot of women with a Jezebel spirit that will to uh, try and use me and take my kindness for weakness.
But I want you. I'm coming in as not a Jezebel spirit. There are you got to open up your mind, Yosef, for those that are not like a Jezebel. All us women are not Jezebels.
Of course not.
So
And
don't.
likewise, all the men are not low lives either.
I agree with you.
But at the same time, I also have to keep in mind. Uh, oh, we. I'm sorry, Sean, man. We've been having technical difficulties all night. Whether she was trying to get me back
Mm-hmm.
in, or whether my phone has been overheating. It overheated twice. So, but here's the
Mm-hmm.
thing: to the honorable man and the honorable woman that still believes in love,
Mm-hmm.
that still believes in faithful,
Yes.
in spite of what society says, you continue to hold on to your faith. I know it's easier said than done. I know the times that we're living in, it's full of darkness, it's full of hell,
Yes.
and God knows whatever else. But I also believe that a change is going to come.
But in order for that change to come, we got to stop waiting on the Most High, twiddling our thumbs
Mm-hmm.
and not doing our part.
Absolutely.
We got to do our part
That's right.
to make sure that things will get better.
Mm-hmm.
I got to be better.
I got to do better.
If you know, we all have to do better, but it's the power of choice. We have to want to choose to do better.
Mm-hmm.
If we don't, if we don't, if people don't want to do better, let them go. Don't force them.
Absolutely. That's right. Don't force
Don't
them.
force them. Don't.
That's right. You got another comment here that said, but it's only because men are doing too much talk. I guess they're saying it's not, thank you for that comment. They're not being action oriented. And that goes for
Not at
women
all.
too. And back to Norman's question about love, I was always under the assumption that love is action. You'll know it because you'll feel it. And I'm not talking about the lusting. I'm talking about the actions for somebody. Um, um, when they say when a man
Hey,
comes,
David, thanks for tuning in, big bro.
hmm,
I just saw somebody else tuning
yeah,
in.
oh, okay,
A lot of my family and friends are tuning in
awesome,
tonight.
awesome. Thank you all for joining. So what do you? How do we get beyond the talk, the yapping, or do we just leave people alone who don't show action?
I say we present to them an opportunity. You
Mm,
know, if by
I like
chance
that.
they want to, if they want to, if they want the opportunity, we present it to them. But we're not going to force feed them. We're not going to shove it down their throat because I don't believe the Most High is a dictator. He leaves it up to our own free will. But in his leaving it up to us, he warns us of the consequences as to whether or not we do good or we do evil. With
Right.
every action, there's a reaction. So he warns us of the reactions.
Mm-hmm.
See?
Mm-hmm. Very good point. Um, Ronnie says your emotions cannot hijack your mind.
That's true. It can't. And unfortunately, here's another reality. Another reality is a lot of women, for the most part, are emotional. See, I consider you to be one of the few women that thinks logically. It's
Mm-hmm.
not too many women that think logically without being emotional because most women think with their emotions instead of logic.
Yes.
I can't say that about you, you know. And I would be, once again, I would be criticized, I would be villainized, I'd be hated, I'd be
Mm-hmm.
despised if I were to, you know, render correction to the woman. I'd be cursed out. But if you were to say the same things to another sister that I have said tonight,
Mm-hmm.
she wouldn't say words. She probably would agree with you. That's pride. That's full of arrogance, you know. And same thing with the men. Roles have been reversed. I can't reiterate that enough. Roles have been reversed. Men have got to be men. Men, we got to stop being so feminine. We've got to be masculine. Sisters, stop being so masculine.
Mm-hmm.
Be feminine. The roles have been reversed. It's almost as if sometimes I think we're living in a parallel universe. How that's just how bad times have really have gotten.
Now, these women, to our defense, we're appearing to be masculine because we've had to become the father of our children too, because the daddy is gone. So I agree with you. We do need to soften up. We do need to become who we were created to be. We were not created to be a father. And as a
Right.
result of that, us trying to be a mom and a dad, it has transformed our femininity into masculinity. And I'm here
Yes.
to tell you, if it wasn't for me getting prepared, I would have been guilty of that too. So I had to learn to take a back seat, or to not necessarily a back seat, because the feminine women would be like, what do you mean a back seat? No, you a partner. No, you stand by your man side by side. No, what I meant was you we have to give them the lead, because if they don't have the lead, we are being the masculine one. We are being the man in the relationship. And we need to, if we want our men to be our men, we have to let them be our men. And so we do have some work to do in that area. And I agree with you on that. Um, Ronnie says we are not prepared financially either. That's a very good point. We're not.
That's one of the reasons why the divorce rates is so high.
Yes.
Unfortunately, it is. In addition to the finances, the lack of communication, and so forth. 1920, 92% of Americans married. Here it is, 2018,
Mm-hmm.
nearly 100 years. My God, 34, 35, 36% of people are married. And that percentage continues to drop and at an alarming rate, you know. Uh, Another factor we got to talk about is mental health. People don't want to talk about mental health,
That's true.
but mental health is a part of reality.
Yes, it is. Well,
You know,
I remember when I was early, I wrote about it. Um, and the little girl inside. No, no, I wrote about it in I'm Still a Rose, the most recent book. I had to get my books right. Where I did experience a nervous breakdown, because I had a husband in the house, and I was the wife and the husband, because he was never home. And it was, so I had, and then I had a newborn baby too, and I just mentally lost it. So as I
Wow.
was in the hospital, my dad called, a retired major in the army. He says, you got to get out of that hospital, because we don't have any crazy people in our family. I was like,
See,
whoa.
see,
And wait, Yosef. I didn't know I was in the crazy house, as they call it, until my nephew came to visit, and they were walking around Days, heavily medicated, when we went to the rec room to visit them, for them to visit me. And my nephew was only like 6, and he said, Aunt Tanya, why are you in here with all these crazy people? And I didn't know where I was until my dad said that, and my nephew said what he said. And till this day, our families do not seek therapy. It's a bad thing. And I'm proud to tell you, I sought therapy, and I'm a better person as a result of it. And I recommend it to our Black people, because a lot of times we can't fix things ourselves. And if we went through childhood trauma, it's still with us. If we witnessed a
yeah,
mom and a dad almost killing themselves, or an accident happening, or a lot of domestic violence, period, we need therapy, because that those occurrences stay within your spirit as you become an adult, and you got to deal
yeah.
with it. And if you don't deal with it, you take that mess into your relationships.
That's unfortunately, One of the reasons why there's a lot of sexual promiscuity is because, unfortunately, when that little boy or that little girl was being molested,
Mm-hmm.
it opened Pandora's box
Yes.
sexually,
Yes.
and it opened it prematurely.
Absolutely.
That's why there's a lot of uh, promiscuous sex among our women.
That's true.
Unfortunately, uh, it opened that door. They discovered their sexuality
That's
prematurely, and they
right.
didn't know how to properly handle that.
That is so true.
Um, and that it also led to drug abuse,
Mm-hmm.
alcohol
Mm-hmm.
abuse, attempted suicide,
Yes.
and the like. And I have a few Facebook friends that are
Yes.
survivors, both the men and the women that are both survivors of this.
Yes.
So, and I applaud them
Me too.
for for marching and just they're the real unsung
It
heroes.
is.
They really are
They
because
really are.
it's yeah, and I know I can only imagine rather just how painful it really is to relive those horrific hours and those moments. And I feel no remorse for those that victimize them at all. I'm not going to tell you how I really feel because, as I've said before, I have the mouth to speak. So I'm trying to keep this PG, but I have no respect for anybody
I
that is willing to molest
yes,
children.
I agree. And
I
you're
really
you're
don't.
you're absolutely right. I didn't even think of that. That all of that abuse can make a child grow into an adult and do the things that were done to them because then they feel like they're unworthy. Why not be promiscuous? Why not do drugs? Look what happened to me. Look what was done to me. So, at an early age. And then they're
Hmm.
suicidal as a result of that. And I agree with you. All of them need to be shut down, locked down, because who would do those kinds of things to a child? Because those children grow up to have so many issues, and a lot of them do not know to seek help. And we have to
Right.
do a better job of promoting mental health and the importance of getting mental help when you need it. And it should be so readily available. You can, if you have a secret clearance in the government, that's one of the questions they ask you. Do you have, are you depressed? Do you have, so that in itself would make a federal government worker not seek help. But everybody needs it, that should be part of a physical, to see a therapist
Yes.
so that they can examine your mental well-being. It should be a requirement for us. Think about it? There will be less killings in these schools if early on they had to get their physicals and they also went to see a psychiatrist or a therapist to see the status of their mind, because a mind ain't nothing to
Hmm.
play with. As my own experience, a mind is nothing to play with. And a lot of times this goes unchecked, and that's why we have an increase in suicides as well as an increase in
Yes.
killings. People are sick, they're mentally disturbed, and they have not gotten the required medical attention to rectify that.
That's true. Once again, it the whole idea and the whole topic of relationships is both from a spiritual side as well as a social and psychological side.
Yes.
Uh, the subject itself is too broad and it's too vast
Yes.
to really dig down deep. And I really and really tonight, I'm sorry again. This is the third time this has happened.
Yes. Well,
almost a year again.
well,
So
this just means we're going to have another one. Before we close out, we got good men are out there, but thugs are treated like kings. Um, that is,
I'm glad you said that.
yes, that's from Norwood. That is so true.
And allow me to say this as we conclude our dialogue. Unfortunately, within the confines of our society, um, we have been taught that those who are thugs, those who are drug dealers, they are the quote unquote alpha male. Whereas when you have your men that are not drug dealers and those who are not roughnecks, if you will, we are looked upon as beta males.
Mm-hmm.
And and because we have been taught that the thug is the alpha male, and the sisters go after the the quote unquote alpha male or the drug lord,
Yes.
the drug dealer. Unfortunately, the drug dealer allows that woman winds up allowing her to be a single mother.
Right.
And a few years later, the same guy that she rejected in high school, she sees the young man who has all of his stuff together. He's doing very well for himself. And now she approaches him, and that young man takes exception to it because he has everything so guarded up. And and his attitude is, if you did not appreciate me in high school, what makes you think you would appreciate me now? Because you were not a part of my struggles.
Right.
When I was when I was interested in you, you overlooked me and you friend zoned me.
Mm-hmm.
Now that I'm doing well for myself, I'm making 6 and 7 and 8 figures a year. And here you come. No, 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 no. You're not going to get me. You're not going to jip me for my resources. Therefore, you go over to where you work. Go back to wherever it is you came from,
Right.
and I'm going to continue on with my life. Bottom line is, as difficult as times are, I still believe that there are still good men and good women left. Unfortunately, it's a low percentage, but they're still out there.
I.
But if we want that number to increase,
Yes.
we have to repent and seek the Most High. Truly,
Yes.
we have to seek Him, and not just because we want something from Him,
That's right.
but if you want something from God, you have to give to God.
I agree,
Bottom line.
Yosef. And that is how we get rewarded is by seeking him first. And while we're seeking him, we also are becoming prepared for the king or the queen to have in our lives. So having God first and then preparing ourselves is a good point. We really need to do that. We have
Yeah.
another question here. Uh, Brandon had to leave, but he said, great discussion. Sean says men and women need to seek those who are equally yoked. Sean, I didn't
Yeah.
even know what equally yoked was. I thought me dating someone for quite an extensive period, I thought because he was different than me, we were evenly yoked because my strengths were his weaknesses and his weaknesses were my strengths. Then I did some research, talked to some friends uh, who studied the Bible better than me, and they said that I was totally off base. That being equally yoked means having a relationship with God, and both of you have that foundation. And I didn't know that. Would you like to enlighten us about being equally yoked?
From my standpoint, my personal beliefs about it is a man and a woman has to have knowledge of both God and himself. And I gotta get off, but let me say this. A man and a woman has got to have knowledge of both the Most High and themselves.
Okay. Yes.
Uh, they don't necessarily have to have everything in common,
Okay.
but there has to be a bond together.
Mm-hmm.
And they have to let other people know, yeah, we're teammates, but we're not letting you know all of our plays, if you catch my drift.
Got it.
So
Okay. Oh, he's frozen again, you guys. You there?
and, and likewise,
Okay. I'm we hear you a little bit. We hear you a little bit. Mm-hmm.
seeking God's face, knowing God for yourself, not by what anybody else's philosophy or interpretation.
Got it. That makes so much sense. Having your own interpretation.
Pleasure has
Yes, it's been a pleasure. We have to have you back, Yosef, so we can finish this discussion because we can go on and on and on and on and on and on. And we've captured on so much tonight. So he's frozen again, you guys. We want to say thank you, Yosef. Thank you, all of you, for being there today. Um, we've enjoyed you. We hope to see you next Thursday. There's always some interesting topics about better in our lives with our loved ones and so forth. So thank you for joining. And remember, yet ladies, no matter what you go through in life, say to yourself, I am still a rose. And we're going to get through everything in our lives if we just stay focused, stay strong, and never give up. And know that in spite of it all, you're still a rose. Until next time, thank you again, Yosef. We enjoyed you tonight. It was wonderful, very insightful, and as you can see, very engaging. See you guys next time. Bye. Got you. We see you. I know it's your phone. We'll do this again. Bye now.